I just bought a complete stereo system for this truck off of Facebook Marketplace. You know, if you're gonna put an ad in Facebook Marketplace, at least answer it. And the challenge here is to do it for under $400. Well, what the hell does it not fit for? Jesus Louise. Ugh. All right, so if you've noticed in the description or you've heard me talking about this truck, we're calling it the Challenge Truck. That's part of this channel right here. We do more than car stereo, okay? This Challenge Truck, everything that goes into this truck besides mechanicals, repair parts, stuff like that, is all got to be used. And when we get finished, it's gonna be just, it's gonna be a nice truck. Anyways, so now you know why that is. Cool? Cool. Okay, there's a method to the madness here, and we'll explain that after I tell you what we got. So, we picked up 2 tweeters. Those 2 tweeters came out of a 2022 Honda Accord. Why would we go and do something as silly as that? Well, these things have a massive driver motor on them. They actually have a surround, and these things can be crossed way, way down at 800 hertz. Meaning that I crossed them at 800 hertz and dropped that passive crossover real quick down to 500, okay? Method to the madness here, so stick around. These were free, 0 cost, all right? Next thing on the list here, center channel. Center channel came out of a Ford Expedition. It is a B&O, Bang & Olufsen. And that has a 3.5-inch driver in it, and that's already pre-crossed, and that was free, 0 cost, okay? Next on the list, and I have a Sony phone, okay? Love the Sony phone. Custom ordered it. Have had 2 of them now in my lifetime. They don't have bloatware, blah, blah, blah. These things just, they're tough as iron. Never have a problem with them. Great goddamn phone. I've never had one of their stereos before, never heard one of their stereos before, whether it be home, car audio, anything like that. It has been said that they are...
When I first heard them, the best way you could describe them is their palate cleansing. Their palate cleansing.
Palate cleansing, whatever that means. So anyways, I thought I would try some Sony equipment. So I got 2 6x8 2-way Sony Mobile ES. That is their top of the line, the best of the best that Sony has.
Because you're the best of the best.
You're looking for the best of the best of the best. The best of the best of the best.
The best of the best that Sony has in a speaker, all right? So we got 2 of those, and those cost $25 for the pair. Supposedly, because we're buying the stuff off of Facebook Marketplace, remember? Supposedly installed, used for a week, and removed because they didn't like the speakers. So this was a gamble. Remember, they're palate cleansing, remember?
So how do these speakers sound? When I first heard them, the best way you could describe them is their palate cleansing. These have the open and airy tweeter like Morel, a little bit clearer, so a little bit brighter, but it's not harsh. It's still very pleasant to listen to. I was really having a good time listening to all those different tracks. It's kind of like hearing your music again for the first time, because I was picking up on some details and nuances that I don't necessarily hear in my car.
Next, I found two of the Arnold DB Drive Arnolds, and these are dedicated mid-ranges. I mean, they have a driver motor on them that is just absolutely massive. And they went into the back doors of the F-150. And I'm here to tell you, that was a bitch of a fit. I mean, there was just very limited to get this in here, you know, because we're not hacking the shit out of the truck in order to install this, okay? Method to the madness, just hang on. So anyways, I was able to get a pair of these for 50 bucks that somebody hasn't blown the crap out of them, all right? Sound actually pretty darn good. Now let me hit down on the crossover points again here. The center channel, we're bringing that in at 250 hertz and letting her run all the way up, okay? Keeping the power down. The tweeters, 800 hertz, dropping that bad boy quick to 500. That's where she stops. The 6x8s, we're just stopping them at the bottom, right around 45 hertz. That's you know, I like to have full sound up in front, and that's part of this install, okay, where we've got a specific idea of what we want. We have a design, we have an idea of what we want. It's not like we're throwing a bunch of speakers into a vehicle and throwing some subwoofers into the back and we have a target here, a goal of what we're trying to hit, okay? The 6.5s in the back in the door, we have those 250 hertz, and we're running them all the way up to 10,000, and that's where we're literally holding them in that range. And we're 24 dB dropping, okay? We want them to get out of there as quick as possible. I don't want my staging in the back for this install. I just want some fill, okay? Then we have two 8-inch Dayton Audios, okay? Not subwoofers. By the way, you subwoofer guys, we got a primer for you at the end of the video here. Stick around. I'm gonna start getting you information on the next video that I'm going to be doing, which is going to be dedicated to a different type of sub, okay? Those two 8-inches, I built a custom box underneath the back seat, and that was a real treat. Not a lot of room there to fart with. We actually had to raise the seat up 2 inches in order to get this to work, so we have the cubes that we need underneath the back seat. Now, those Dayton Audio woofers, not subwoofers again, those Dayton Audio woofers, those are able to travel from 35 hertz all the way up to 6,000 hertz, okay? So what we're doing for crossing is we're just letting the bottom, you know, just be where it is, and we're stopping them right around 12,000 hertz, okay? So the pair of 8 inches, which were factory leftovers sitting in some guy's garage, he bought them, never used them. He really said he didn't remember on how long that he had them, which meant he had them forever and a day. 55 bucks for the pair. Can't beat that, you know? Next, we got a Pioneer 510 EX DVD CD player, high definition audio. It was exactly what I was looking for. Now here's something for you to understand, all right? You have all these different manufacturers out there, okay? Pioneer, Alpine, Rockford, Clarion, JVC, Kenwood. We can just go on and on and on, okay? Each manufacturer has their own sound signature. So if you're running down to Walmart or you're going onto the computer on Amazon and you're going, well, I want, this type of head unit, and you get it and you go, you're telling a couple friends of yours, I had that XYZ and it really, I didn't like it. It was a piece of crap. Well, each one of these companies have a different sound signature. Now, the Pioneer loves their high end. They do. They just really like their high end. They're like sub bass. We really don't need that. Even though they have subwoofer amplifiers, stuff like that, you don't buy a Pioneer unit for the sub, for the low end, okay? You get Rockford or something that, Sundown, whatever the case may be. There's hundreds of companies out there. I know, okay. So, Pioneer unit, $75. Really nice little unit, too. Next on the list, 2 amplifiers. The GMT 400s. These are Sony 4-channel amplifier each. 75 watts per channel, and I'm here to tell you these things are grossly underrated because it blows you out of the truck. I'm here to tell you, wow. And once again, never tried Sony, heard Sony or anything like that, but I'm here to tell you I will be going back to Sony. And the Sony amps, 2 Sony amps, $100. Now, this is just a basic system. We're not shooting for #1 in the car stereo awards, okay? Basic system. Next, we have the Dayton Audio DSP in order to control all this. Finding a DSP on Facebook Marketplace, I'm lucky I found that, all right? It was only like $25. But overall, not bad. There's better out there, but not bad. I was a little confusing at first on how they have you set everything up, but leaving us with a grand total of $380. Quick, fascinating number here before we carry on. Did you know that YouTube considers it an average video, an average successful video, that if we get to this point right here, that if you have 33% of your viewers still watching, that is an average success.
Oh, no!
Maybe you're too young to realize this. I don't know if you're older, you'll get this, but that's really sad that we got people that can't even make it through a video.
Oh,
that is, under 20 minutes, under 15 minutes. Hell, you lose most of them in the first 42 seconds because there isn't enough visual stimulation. Well, anyways, it's too bad because, we got the subwoofer stuff coming up here. Got the primer. But anyways, what the whole concept behind this, okay? What was I shooting for? Well, would have been nice to have this, What we're shooting for is to have that home stereo when you're sitting down and you got a really good stereo system in your house. That's what we're shooting for. Having that music come to you, making it seem like you have the band, the musicians, the singer right on your dash. This is hard to achieve, especially when you only spend $380. But I'm here to tell you, the audio gods have gone and smiled upon us, because after a lot of diddling, this thing sounds absolutely incredible. Now, when we do our reveal on the truck, we're going to go over and show you all the installation on it. But we wanted to keep it also stealth. We didn't want to be hacking holes into it and putting in, you know, chunks of wood that are done on the CNC and pointing the speakers and stuff like that. We wanted it stealth. We wanted that staging to come right off the dash and right at us. You know, keep in mind that those two 8-inch woofers, and some of you might have caught this and are down in the comment section going, well, you had the frequencies all wrong. No, I didn't. We farted around with it, and I'm here to tell you where we ended up with the crossover. There's just some stuff you just can't explain, man. It just worked out that way. But those two 8s that are underneath the seat, just so you're aware, are not firing down. Those are firing at a 33-degree angle outwards, okay? So they're, once again, not acting as a subwoofer. So that explains that. You know, the audio gods came down for some odd strange reason, and I'm telling you, we really hit the goal that we were shooting for in this truck, okay? And considering that it's all used equipment, wow. I mean, just wow. I really wish that the true audio guys that are still here could actually sit in this truck and hear it, because it is just absolutely amazing what we ended up with. A couple things that we did, you know, there's little things that we did. For instance, the 6.5-inch that are in the rear door, in order to control that brightness that these Arnolds have, we used 14 gauge oxygen-free copper, but it was in a shielded wire, okay? You know, why did we do that? That shielded wiring, you have this skinning effect, okay? And that takes that frequency and it changes it. Well, what we wanted to do is we wanted to have that clarity from those two 6.5s, but we didn't want it overtaking us. And in order to do that, you kind of got to muffle it. And when you use shielded wire, that's exactly what it does. It actually muffles it because of the way that transmission, that electrical transmission is sent. So on the door speakers, the Sony 6x8 two-ways, the ES models, those were actually the silver tinned wiring. You know, we did little things like that the average car stereo person just really doesn't think of. And that's in order to get transmission to it cleaner, faster, or in the case of the rear door or door speakers, you know, to slow it down, kind of skinny it up a little bit. Little things like that most people don't think about, all right? But let's move on to the subwoofers here. I have made a design many years ago, and fiddled around with it and actually came up with a really good design. It is not what you think it is, okay? There's nothing wrong with the box, okay? But this right here, actually, you use less woofers. You can get away with using one woofer and getting the SPL that you would get out of two woofers. The porting is a little bit more difficult to work with, so there's some testing that you have to do in order to achieve what you need to achieve. But in the next video, we're gonna dedicate this specific design for you to try. Now, it takes some time to build them. You just don't go down to the table saw or to the CNC machine and start ripping wood through there. This actually takes time. There's a lot of wrapping, there's a lot of laminating going on, and for now, we're just gonna leave you with this right here. So I'm gonna leave you with this hacked out drawing for you to think about until this next video that we do on the subwoofer design. Keeping in mind that we do other stuff on this channel, okay? But there you go.